Hey, folks! Welcome to the Stan Show. This is going to be a very special edition of the Stan Show. Something I've been plotting and planning for a couple of months now, and it's finally coming to fruition. I don't want to waste too much time getting into it today because we got a long program today, and I hope you'll stick with us. Of course, you can watch this going forward in perpetuity. It'll be available on Facebook, on YouTube, also on X, and eventually I'll put it up to Rumble as well. But I want to introduce my very special guest today, Mr. Glenn Quiggins. Glenn, how you doing? Hang on, let me. I hit the wrong button. Here we go. There you are. How you doing, Glenn?
Hey, Stan. It's good to be back with you.
Yeah, man. I tell you what. I made a trip to your house 3 months ago, and I called it my UFO trip. Because you live in an area where you guys get UFOs every night, right on the edge of the Daniel Boone Forest in Kentucky. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating stuff.
Yes, that's correct. Every night.
Yeah, I saw some stuff there that I didn't even think I would see. You had told me about the orbs, and we did capture a really good one, I thought. Now, I know you've seen them closer and bigger and all that, but I just was like, man, that was so cool to see that thing hanging over the forest, almost straight up from us, and changing colors and kind of drifting one way or the other. Not staying perfectly still, but I was fascinated by it. But the thing I didn't expect was to see all those little dots, those what I called fast movers, right, that were going across the sky. And say, oh, that's a satellite. No, these were not satellites because they were going different directions. They're not going in straight lines a lot of the time. They'd be curving off one direction or the other, or they'd be going across the sky and then suddenly would blip out and you wouldn't see them again. And I wished I could have got that on video, but they were too small. I mean, they were just too small. And I've got a great phone. I've got the great, S25 Ultra, but which captured the orb pretty well. But I couldn't get those fast movers. So when my second ship comes in, which could be soon here, I'm coming back with some proper equipment, and we're going to get some more. Now, you just had a new sighting the other night. I grabbed that, and I put it up on the last podcast I did with my co-host, Chevy. We put it up there. And I put a little description as what you had explained to me what it was, the triangle UFO with a big light in the center of it and all that. Yeah. And I boosted it, I enhanced it, and I put the little red triangle to show the shape of it, which was pretty, dim. The shape was pretty dim, but if you looked at it long enough, you could see the shape.
Yeah, and
it's funny because I had one guy come in the comments and say, "What am I looking at?" Like, did you read the description? Because it's all there.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you said that the orbs and the fast movers and all that we saw typically happen between about dusk and about, 10 p.m. or so, right around there.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, but the triangle, that comes out early dawn hours, like early morning hours.
Yeah, usually 3 to 5 is when it'll show up. And it'll stay around a couple hours sometimes.
Yeah, well, at least they're punctual.
They are.
You can depend on them.
It's my alarm clock.
Yeah, I'd like to devote a whole evening to it, and maybe not come when the weather is cold, because it was cold even 3 months ago. It was pretty chilly out there.
Yeah, we built a fire.
Yeah, it would be great. I mean, you have virtually zero light pollution out there, and when you turn off your house lights and the tiki bar lights, we turn all that off. It's amazing what you can see. Well, I just want to dig right into you and your lifestyle, because I know for a fact that you've done a few other podcasts, and I've watched those, and no one's ever done a deep dive into the Glenn Quiggins story. And that's what I want to get here today. And we'll take as long as it takes. We'll take as many breaks as it takes. I know you got a little bit of a back issue. You need to get up and move around sometimes. But we just want to make it happen. And I'm so thankful that you're up for that. And I hope that all works out the way it's supposed to. Let's go back to the beginning. So where were you born and raised?
Okay. I was born on a Mississippi River town in Kentucky called Paducah, and I was born to an Albanian immigrant mother. And fun fact, she actually went to school with Mother Teresa in Albania.
Wow.
And then I was given up for adoption at a young age, and remember being in the orphanage and having people come by and look at me and check me out or whatever. Then I was adopted by a nurse and a civil engineer in their 30s, and we moved to Lexington, Kentucky, and that's basically where I spent my formative years and grew up.
You were raised there. Did you end up in Berea as a young man?
Yes, between junior high and high school, my parents divorced, and I moved with my mother to Berea. So we basically got on I-75 from Lexington and drove south, and we knew where the Berea exit was. We'd gotten off there to go back up to her where she was born, up where I live now. And so she got off that exit and was like, "Oh, this looks good. We'll live here." So, and that's where we met for the first time.
Yes. Just as a little background on my knowing you, I met you. We're not positive of this, but I believe it was 1979, and when you were a sophomore in high school. Was that Berea High School?
That was, yes.
Yeah, Berea High School. And I was with the Young American Showcase Cup, and my band that I was with at that time was traveling through, and we played a show at your high school.
Yeah.
And apparently, my memory's fuzzy, and your memory's better. But at that time, you and I struck up a conversation, and you ended up coming with me out to the tour vehicle, which was a glorified bread truck at that time, and we're called, a step van, right? And we
Right.
talked about it, and I shared the plan of salvation, Jesus Christ, with you, and you basically accepted Christ at that time, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And
basically, you would come to a school and get some people from the band to help you out with load in and then set up and tear down and load out. So since I was a drummer, I helped you, and that's how we got talking and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, there was I have a feeling you saw my third band, my third tour band, which was just a 4-piece band. There was no lead singer. And we all kind of shared the responsibilities of singing the songs. And I would come out front sometimes, and the guitar player would get on the drums. That was Donnie Bogtong, and he had amazingly long flowing hair, and was quite a decent drummer, actually. Yeah, that was an interesting tour. It didn't all end well, but I'm glad that we met you. Oh, I flipped a truck up in Newfoundland and just about killed everybody. A few months later, that would have been after the Christmas break and on into February. Yeah, we toured Newfoundland in February.
Yeah.
Nutty.
Who booked that?
Well, I think Tom Miller did, but I'm not sure. I'm not absolutely sure. I can't remember who the booker for Canada was at the time. It might have been Ron Lentini. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that it's really cold in Newfoundland, and there's ice everywhere. And
They
we
should have
just had
booked you for they should have booked you for like the 2-week summer that they have.
Well, I'll tell you why they put us up there in February is because they know how to do the snow up there. I mean, they plow it out immediately,
true, yeah.
and the roads are clear.
That's true.
And they have problems with that in Kentucky.
Definitely.
It's not great, right? The highway department's not that adept at getting it worked out, but
No.
yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get off track because I don't want this to be about me. But anyway, so I met you there, but I want to go back. I want to go back before you met me and when you were a young child in elementary school. Would that be in Lexington?
It would be, yes.
Yeah. And there were some things about you that were special. And I don't know if you knew you were special at the time. But why don't you tell me about that little telekinetic episode that you told me about that the teacher noticed?
Yeah.
And just tell me the circumstances around that, if you would.
Yeah. So by third grade, I had been pretty much singled out by my third grade teacher as somebody that uh, was kind of a leader in my peer group, and was talented and interested in stuff, but bored in school. So I would sit and look at my pencil on my desk and just move it around with my mind. I would just sit there and stare at it. And
You mean just
move it forward.
like rolling it back and forth a little
Right,
bit,
yeah,
like this or
yeah.
like that?
Yeah. And then
You're not like
spinning
putting it up in the air or anything like that,
No,
right? No, just
no.
rolling
rolling
it
it
around.
back and
Yeah.
forth. Yeah. Spinning it around like
Yeah.
and
Right.
it would entertain my friends that sat next to me, but then my teacher noticed that and sent me to the principal's office. And
Uh-huh.
then from then on, right about the same time that this happened, it would have been early 70s. CIA was getting involved with education, and they had a program where they had installed counselors and psychiatrists in schools to single out gifted children, and they wanted to get them at a young age because they realized that Russia and China had been using this same kind of programs for years, and it's called the GATE program, Gifted and Talented Education. So they started and they kind of enrolled me into that, and there were a couple of other kids, and that's where things they really nurtured those kind of gifts, and that's when I found out that it wasn't something that everybody could do.
Well, let's get all the details here. Did they take you place? Did they take you to any testing facility, or did they come to your home, your school? How did they do that?
Yeah, so they took me to a special classroom in the school, which was I'd never seen before, and it was a dimly lit classroom, and they had a psychologist, I guess, that ran the program, and they would have us do certain tests. Like, for instance, they would hold up a card that had a symbol on it, like a star or something, circle, and ask you to guess what the shape was, and then they would show you. And they had these things. They said they were hearing tests, but they weren't really hearing tests. They were part of the HemiSync program, which was developed where you can play like a 7.63 hertz in one ear and like 8 hertz in another ear. And it mimics the Earth's natural frequency and your body's natural frequency. And it syncs the two hemispheres of your brain, and it allows you to exploit those telekinetic and psychic abilities. And so that was part of the program too.
Do you feel that they were looking for candidates for remote viewing at that point?
They definitely were. CIA was definitely involved and looking for people who could remote view or other types of psychic abilities, telekinesis, lucid dreaming.
Tell me a little bit about the people you worked with, men or women, or are we talking like suits and I think of CIA people as being very focused and very,
Right.
or were
Yeah.
these people more trained to work with kids?
Okay, so in the school classes, they were more trained to work with the kids. They were, it was a guy, and he was, had that 70s kind of long hair and dressed casual and was really friendly and that. But
So
there were
basically not threatening at all. More, they made you feel comfortable.
Not at all, yeah. And I know at some point, like the three people that were in there, they were like, I noticed the two others left periodically, like one left and then he wasn't there anymore. And then the other girl left and she wasn't there anymore, and then it was just me. And then they started, like between my third and fourth grade year, I went to DC with my dad worked for the federal government as a civil engineer. And we went to DC for his job. And I didn't see him the whole time we were there for that 2 months. And basically what I did every day was I would go to the Smithsonian or the Natural History Museum, all the museums in DC and the libraries, and I would just go there and study every day, you know, get on a bus and go there. And I would spend the whole day there. I would eat lunch in the cafeteria. I'd have the roast beef sandwich.
Well, you weren't unsupervised. You weren't unsupervised, were you? Were you with?
No, yeah, my mother was with me.
Oh, just your mom, not like a government person or anything like that.
My mom, and then we had a chaperone that took us to all these various places.
I see.
And
I see.
Yeah, so I spent the whole summer in DC doing that, just learning about history, military history. Everything really, you know, about history and United States history, national history. And then when I came back to Kentucky, then they put me in a class with other kids, and it seemed like a normal class, normal kids, but it was for gifted kids. And
now by gifted, are we talking about psychic abilities?
No, not like that. Just they were either like talented musically or you know, creative writing, or just
typical typical definition of gifted then. So either
right.
highly intelligent or artistically inclined, gifted in that regard. So
right,
how did that work out for you?
It worked out great for me because I didn't like the structure. Usually in school, when we started at the beginning of the year and we got our school books, I was a curious kid. I would go home and read the whole book that night. And then the rest of the year, I was pretty much bored, you know, and I was the kid that was always raising my hand with the answer. You know, the teacher would be like, let somebody else answer, Glenn.
Exactly.
So
now,
yeah.
How old were you at this point when you came back from DC?
Okay, that was getting ready to go into, would have been fifth grade. So fifth grade, and then had that really good experience with the teacher. But after school, they would send me to the University of Kentucky to take college classes, and mostly art classes. And they really were interested because I was gifted in abstract and what they called modern art, but more abstract and geometric stuff. And at the time, there was a whole Cold War policy going on where CIA was promoting modern art and abstract art to show the Russians how free Americans were. So that's why Jackson Pollock came about and people like that. So I was in there
Right.
So I was in there taking
Let me ask
these.
you this: were you learning how to play any instruments at this time, or was that later on?
Yeah, so I'd started playing mandolin when I was about 5. Yeah, and then I started playing drums when I was 5 or 6, right in there.
Where did you find a drum set?
Yeah, this was good. This was the house where I lived, where I had my first UFO experiences. But I had.
We'll get into that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had a neighbor that lived 2 doors down that was older than me. He would have been junior high, and he had a paper route, and he also had a really cool drum set. And he let me play it one time, and I was just hooked. And he said, you know, if you want to play this some more, you do my paper route in the morning, and then I'll let you play my drums when you get home from school. So I was like, you got a deal. So I was 5 years old on my bike, driving around the neighborhood, throwing out papers and,
Wow.
wrapping them and doing all that. And then afterwards, I got to play the drums, and that's where I got hooked on that.
Well,
And then
you were earning a living at 5 years old.
yeah, yeah,
I also delivered newspapers, but I was 13 at the time.
yeah. That became yeah. I had a strong work ethic early.
Yeah, I guess so. So
Yeah,
now you just mentioned the fact that when you were 5 years old, you had your first experience with being abducted and taken onto a UFO, taken onto a spacecraft. Is that correct?
that's correct. Yes, yes.
Okay. Now this is before, I don't know, but you tell me. This was before you had any apparent psychic ability or telekinetic ability. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Well, it's important to try to figure out the chain of events here that led to up to you being
Right.
introduced to the CIA and then taking you into this program. Did you ever tell anybody in the CIA that you had this UFO abduction experience?
No, never.
Never did.
I never. Yeah, I never told anyone until I
Well,
was.
well, let's go back then. Let's go back to five
Yeah.
years old and give me all the details. Tell me what happened.
Take that back. I did tell my parents, but anyway. So I was 5 years old, and I would wake up in the middle of the night, and there would be a gray outside my window, the classic gray.
Gray alien. Okay.
And they'd be looking at my window, and I would be scared to death, but I couldn't do anything about it. They would come in, just come right through the window, and take me, and there'd be two more outside, so there'd be three total. And then they would take me, and we would just lift up off the ground into a craft, and then I wouldn't remember anything else except occasionally I knew they were doing some kind of medical test, things that would affect me later in life. But then they would bring me back the same night. And I should mention too that my neighbor who lived like 3 doors down, 4 doors down, the other side, she was a girl the same age as me. And they would take her too. And then they would bring us back and put us in the yard, and it was always in the front yard, and we'd be under this big maple tree. And we'd both be standing there just in our pajamas, scared to death, just hanging on to each other, like no idea what had happened. And then eventually, after we calmed down, it was the 70s, so we didn't lock our doors. So I would just go back inside and go to bed, or I would go into my parents' room at first, when it first started happening, and tell them, that something came and got me, and there's something outside my window, and my dad would, he was not a very nice person. He would just get mad and tell me to go back to bed. I was having a nightmare. So this continued for the whole time we lived there, until we moved when I would have been 7.
So for a couple of years, you experienced multiple UFO alien abductions, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
And
Me
the
and
other
my
little
neighbor.
girl too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. And do you remember anything about any of it other than being taken and being delivered back?
I remember a few different experiments they did on me. I remember which traumatized me greatly. I have to say, they call it alien abduction, but it's basically kidnapping. It was horrifying for a little kid with no frame of reference. So yeah, medical experiments, and I remember seeing being there with other people. Like I could see other people seemingly asleep.
No,
That's basically
are we talking like operating tables kind of thing, or what exactly are we talking about?
we're talking about. What a honeycomb looks like,
Sure.
the 6-sided. It was like a honeycomb with all those 6-sided cells, and then a person in each of those cells. And there was a humming that was going on, like a frequency, a low frequency.
So are these people vertical standing up or
You know, horizontal,
horizontal?
lying
Okay.
down, yeah,
Okay.
and seemingly unconscious. And at one
On
point,
what you're on some kind of surface like a table or
yeah, it was like if you were actually inside of a honeycomb, like that shape and that,
uh-huh.
like a tube, and you were laying in it horizontally, and it was a cold white surface, and then you could feel and hear that humming the whole time you were in there. That's
Wow.
basically that's
It's
basically what I remember.
and
Yeah.
and this happened multiple times for a couple of years.
Yes, multiple times. Yeah, I can't even count
Okay.
how many. Yeah,
But
until we.
it took moving away from there for this to stop.
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
we moved away from there to another side of town, a different school, and it stopped until I was until I was scout age, and then
Okay,
it
so
started.
like 11, 12 or
Right. Yeah.
10, 11,
And
12.
yeah, and in
And
the
it started up
meantime,
again.
yeah, but in the meantime, I had started taking piano lessons from my cousin, older cousin, and then I started. I got a little snare drum with a cymbal attached from Sears and Roebuck.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, yeah, like sixth grade, so I was playing beats,
I had
and
the
then
same
I,
one.
yeah,
It was red sparkle
I had the
with
blue sparkle.
with stick coming out, and it had a little crappy symbol on it.
Yeah,
I had the same one.
yeah. I put out my albums on my dad's big console stereo and just jam out.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Okay, so now you say that it started up again. The
yeah,
abductions, they started again.
yeah. They did.
Was
So
it a different kind of experience?
it was different because
How?
I remember more of it basically. Uh, so I would go to scout camp in the summertime, and it was really cool because I had a couple of cool counselors and young hip guys with big afros, and at night they would listen to the R&B radio station. We're out in the middle of the woods in these cabins, and I was always a night owl, so they would let me come out and hang out on the porch with them and just listen to the music while they chilled and talked. And it was really awesome. So that's where I developed my love for R&B and Motown. But one night we decided to go on a camp out, so we all went and took our tents, and we went out to this big meadow, a big opening in the middle of this field where we did all of our tug of war and races and all that kind of stuff. Set up our tents and camped out. It got dark, and sometime in the night, really big disc UFO with red and blue lights that went around it,
Uh-huh.
saucer shape, probably maybe 60 feet in diameter. It came down and it hovered about 20 feet off the ground, and I woke up. I saw the lights through the tent. I woke up and was like, oh, and so I started waking up the guys right around me, and a few of us came out, maybe like 12 or 13 of us, not the whole group, and we looked up and we watched it come down and hover about 20 feet off the ground. It just hovered there, and then for some reason, like we were in a trance, without saying anything, we just all started walking towards it, and when we got directly underneath it, it spewed out this mist, this white mist fog that completely covered us. You couldn't see anything. It just kind of covered us all. And that was the last thing I remember until the next morning. And I woke up and I was like, "Hey, man, do you remember the UFO coming last night?" "Yeah, yeah." And a few of us did remember that, and the rest didn't. But yeah, so that was.
So it sounds as if, excuse me, it sounds as if they abducted the whole lot, everybody, and
About half of us. About
and they
half of us, yeah.
took you up and did whatever they did, and they were able to completely wipe any of that from your memory, or kept you under, I don't know, some form of anesthesia or
Yeah.
whatever, and then you don't remember anything until you woke up the next morning back in your bunk.
Yeah, I think that's what that. I think that white mist was probably a combination of like an anesthesia and maybe like a antibacterial or
Uh
something.
huh.
You know?
Did you? Did that ever happen again? That same kind of thing, that same kind of abduction? Did that happen
No,
more than that
no,
one time?
that was the only
Was
time that happened.
was that the last time you were abducted?
That was the last time until I became an adult, and then I had experiences later in my 30s. But yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Okay. Well, let's then
after
go ahead.
I was going to say after that, I started. I got my first drum set, a Ludwig Big Beat Silver Sparkle, and started. My seventh grade teacher was also a DJ at this club on Sunday nights, and it's a black club, and he asked me to come play drums at the club. Paid me $50 a night, so I would go Sunday nights. My mom would drop me off. Here I was, this like 13-year-old with all these adults, rocking out to Motown and funk and stuff like that.
Now wait a
And all
second.
these,
Wait a second. You were playing drums at the disco, basically,
yeah, yeah,
and were you playing along with tracks? Were you playing along with the
yeah,
music?
exactly. He would DJ, and I would play along with it. And they thought it was so entertaining. Here was this little white kid, and they would come up to me like afterwards, like, "Man, your ass was so big. You were holding that groove down," stuff like that. And I would just be like, "Thank you, sir."
Yeah, I did the exact same thing, but I was 19 years old, 18 and 19 at the time.
Nice.
You may have heard talk of a place called Papa's Dream in St. Petersburg, where
Oh
it
yeah.
was an old movie theater that had been renovated
Right.
into a teen nightclub, basically a teen disco, basically.
Yeah.
And so the director, the owner guy, he would ask me to have my drum kit set up in the center of the stage. They had a proper stage there. I mean, it was an old theater. They had a really cool proper stage there. And
That's
yep,
where
I'd
Rush
set up.
played, right?
Yep, Rush opening night in 1975,
Yeah, man.
in the fall of 1975. Opening night, we had Rush. We
That's
had
so
other
cool.
bands there too. I mean, we had the
Right.
Raspberries, if you remember them.
Yeah.
Eric
Oh yeah,
Carmen
for
and the
sure.
Raspberries. We
Yeah.
had Atlanta Rhythm section there. We had some
Nice.
Christian acts that came because the whole thing was supposed to be a ministry in the first place.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, that was quite something. When and I would run monitors from the dance floor, which was up towards the top. I mean, the front of the auditorium. I guess was to be where the stage was. The back of the auditorium was
Right.
a big dance floor and a huge sound system there and all that. And we would run monitors up onto the stage, and I do like 30 minutes of just playing along with some of my favorite songs. They just loved that, man. That was just the hottest thing ever.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
also had a full band there. We had the house band, which was the owner who played keyboards and sang. He's quite talented. Fred Langston, very, very talented man. Very much into the Elton John scene at that point. And oh yeah, man. That was disco, man. That was 76, 77. Doing all that. So I
Yeah.
imagine it was
Yeah.
probably around the same time for you. I
It
don't
was.
know.
Yeah. It was. And
Yeah.
that year I went to my first real concert. Like, actually, I had been to see Charlie Pride when I was like 6, and after the gig, my dad was like, "Hey, Charlie, my son's a drummer. He wants to meet." I mean, he wants to meet you. And he's like, you're a drummer? Well, come on up here and play something with me. So I'm like 6 years old jamming with Charlie Pride. But then later, after that, and I went to my first concert, which was Parliament. And
Oh my goodness! Oh
yeah,
my goodness!
they brought the mothership down.
I would have given my eye teeth to see one of those shows.
It was amazing, yeah. So, and their stage show, they brought the big mothership down.
Yes.
And yeah, so I was like, oh, this is really cool. I think I want to do that someday. So,
yeah. George Clinton.
Between yeah. Bootsy Collins.
Bootsy Collins, Funkadelic.
Yeah.
Parliament Funkadelic. Yeah.
P-Funk, yeah.
It was like their own industry they had that was apart from Motown. It was apart from everything else.
It's true, yeah.
That stuff was hugely popular, especially with the high school kids back in the day.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
So,
we ended up doing, We Want the Funk,
right.
Tear the Roof Off the Sucker.
Yeah.
And
Flashlight.
Flashlight was the next album. Yeah.
Yeah.
This went on for a few years.
It did.
They were hugely popular and a big influence on me. I'm glad to hear it was on you as well, but at a much earlier age. So go ahead, keep going. If you got anything more anything also relevant to talk about during that time, go ahead.
Yeah. So at that point, I was really doing good and in my element, and I was going to the college classes after school, and they would also send me to see I guess he was a psychologist maybe at UK, and he was a long-haired, ponytail, little glasses hippie guy, and at that time I didn't go anywhere without my little GE cassette player and Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin.
Gosh, that was my favorite.
Yeah, mine too. So anytime I would have to go talk to him, I would take my tape player with me. I always had it with me. So I'd go in there, and he got interested, and we talked about music, and he would let me play some of it. And then that's when he recommended that I should preface this by saying my adoptive father was very abusive, physically abusive, from some of my earliest memories around him were him beating me. He would beat me, he would kick me, just hit me in the head with whatever was around, a shovel, or kick me downstairs. It was awful. It was so bad that, I was a latchkey kid, so when I knew it was about time for him to get off work and come home, I would climb up the highest tree in the yard, and so he couldn't beat me up when he got home. And I would stay there until it was dark, and my mom would come out and say, okay, Glenn, it's safe. You can come inside now. He's gone to bed. So I preface that. I say this because that psychologist at that young age diagnosed me with PTSD because of all of the physical abuse I was receiving. And he recommended, this is back in the 70s, that I smoke marijuana, cannabis, in order to deal with the effects of the PTSD. So I did. And he would actually let me smoke there in the office with him in our session. We would share a doob, and he was right, it did help. But yeah, that was, then it was doing really well. In school, I had special classes in school too. Like I didn't go to the regular classes with the kids. I went to the library, and they basically had a tutor, but she kind of gave me free reign besides what she wanted to teach me to just explore whatever I was interested in. And that continued all the way through high school. They basically just let me, just kept passing me to the next grade because I would get my book at the beginning of the year. I would read it. And then later on, I'd just be like, can I just take the test now? You know? And I would take the test. And that's right when IQ tests and standardized testing started coming in. And that was also part of CIA, is why that became a thing in schools. But yeah,
Wow.
so go ahead.
Now you got involved in the band in high school, the school band.
Yeah, yes. Seventh grade, I joined the school band and I loved it and excelled at it. And some of my bandmates from those days have gone on to uh, big success and excellent band director. He was also the band director at the high school, which was like #1 in the state marching band. And so I was excited for that. All my buddies, you know, all of my people I grew up with. So summer band camp between between high school and junior high. I was getting ready to go to high school, going to band camp, and my mom wakes me up one day and says, "We're leaving your dad on Monday, so pack everything up on Friday because we're moving." I was like, "Yeah, right, Mom." And Monday came around, and we were packed up and we left. So I left all my friends and everything I knew, and we went to Berea. And,
Wow.
yeah,
So
that's the next
that was the end of that.
Yeah, and I'd been telling her, it was funny, since third grade, I'd been telling her, like, "Hey, Mom, my friend at school told me about this thing. It's called a divorce. You should really check into it." I actually sat her down at the kitchen
Wow.
table. It was like, there's this thing. I think it would benefit everybody. A few more years for her to catch on now.
Wow. That is something else. So you ended up at Berea High School.
Bureau High School, joined the band there, and started playing in rock bands.
Yeah. Tell me about your first rock band.
Playing with guys. Yeah, first rock band was called High Performance, and I was the youngest. I was like a freshman, and they were all seniors, or a couple of the guys were already out of school. So we were playing the local bars and local hangouts and clubs and stuff, and I would have to use a fake ID sometimes, or the owner would just be like, "You can come in, Glenn, but you know you can't drink." I'd be like, "I don't want to drink. I just want to play music. I just want to rock and roll." Like, all right, so that was my first band, and
And was it about that same time that my band came through and played at your school?
let's see, that would have been when I was in my second band, I guess. Yeah, I started my own band after that called Prodigy, and it had a couple of the same members. And so, yeah, that's when you came through, and we were I was, playing all the time and every day. So that's
Yeah.
what I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Did you learn anything from watching our band?
I really did, man. I mean, I learned a lot, and it was very impressive, and especially you. I mean, being a drummer, and you were just awesome, and plus you were a great frontman, a great singer. So I was just like, this is
Well, it was my third tour, so I kind of had it down by then.
yeah. And I was like, man, I think I could do this. I'm gonna talk to him. I think I could do this.
And you did.
I
You
did.
did
Yeah.
do it. Now, I understand that after that, you ended up going to a military academy for a couple of years. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. I went to two different military academies, one in Tennessee and one in Georgia. And
So you left home.
yeah, I left home and was gone. And they put me in a special. They had A, B, C, D company, and they put me in A company, which was for the people that they were grooming for either officer or intelligence training. Um, and we had, like, our instructors and teachers were all university grade, university quality, and that was the curriculum. It was university curriculum, and then plus the normal, like, I mean, it was like basic training the whole time you were there too. You know, you had to do all of the training and the art of war and just all of that also. And they really wanted me to be, you know, they're telling me, well, you could be an officer by the time you get out of school and go in, you know, into intelligence. And I had no interest in that. I already knew I wanted to be a musician, you know, and I was a rebel too. Like I didn't take well. I liked the discipline, but I didn't like the people telling me what to do and when to do it, and that caused problems.
So did you end up going back and finishing high school in Berea?
No, actually, I went back, and to my senior year, I went back to another school in Richmond, Kentucky, and finished out the year there. But since I'd already had all of my credits and some college credits, I basically took a bunch of electives like home ec and family living. It was so. Most of the time I spent in the library there doing my own studies, and they would even let me come in.
Did your mother? Were you living with your mother in Richmond? Did she move there?
No.
What was happening at that point?
So she still lived in Berea, and I basically had my own apartment in Berea, and I had a car, so I would just drop myself back and forth, and it was usually I was playing gigs at night. I had a band the whole time. I was playing gigs at night, and then the next day I would go to school. But my first period teacher, health class, was a fan of the band, and he would come see us, and he'd be like, you know, if you want to show up late or not show up to your second period, it's cool, you know. But I would usually show up and bring a thermos of coffee, and I'd give him the coffee, and then I would sleep through the first period.
It was a different time. It was.
Yes, it was.
And now
it sure was.
Through all of this, you remembered Young American Showcase and the Free Fair Band and all that. At what point did you decide to reach out and make the contact and audition for Young American Showcase?
Yeah, so that was my senior year. At the beginning of my senior year, I had gotten the information from you when we had met, and I'd kept it. And I had corresponded with somebody at the office, and they asked me, they said, we're going to call you on the phone and we'll talk about this. So they called me on the phone and asked if I could make an audition tape. And I said, I guess I could, or I could just play for you right now over the phone. And we were talking, it may have been Brent Woody, maybe.
It probably was. It was probably Brent at that point.
Yeah, so he was like, okay, yeah, just go ahead, play some stuff. So I set the phone down and went over to my kit and just played for, 5 minutes or so. Played with the song, I think maybe Swing Town by Steve Miller Band. And then maybe did a solo or something, and got back on the phone. He was like, all right, we'll send you a plane ticket. When are you graduating? And I told him when I was graduating, and he said, yeah, we got a place for you. Come on down.
So at that point, you flew into Tampa International Airport, and you were taken off to our whatever rehearsal facility we used that year. We always would pick usually a school, a campus, college campus. It was not in session, during the summer, and we'd use their dormitories, and we'd have their lunchroom, and we'd set up in classrooms. We'd set the bands up in classrooms, and they would rehearse for like 4 weeks before they hit the road. Do you remember that?
My story was a little different. I took a Greyhound bus to Florida a month early, and I had a couple of friends down there. Yeah, and I got a hotel room, and I just stayed there in the hotel for a month and visited my friends and gigged around, sat in with them.
Did you ever go out to the Showcase offices at that point? Did you go out there? No, okay. Well, you wouldn't have been very impressed if you did.
No, I just went to, I guess it was Lake Wales, maybe, or Lake Worth,
Lake Wales.
Lake Wales. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just showed up. I just showed up
Lake
on the
Wales.
day I was
Yeah.
supposed to be there. Yeah.
Right. I
And
do remember the Lake Wales when we had rehearsal. I must have been 3 or 4 different facilities during the entire
yeah,
time I worked for Showcase, maybe more than
that
that.
was an awesome place. I mean, it was great. I
I
thought.
remember it being good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was.
And
So
so
yeah,
you did a full tour, which was 10 months with Showcase.
yeah.
Did you
Like
go home to Berea over the Christmas break and spend 2 weeks in Berea?
I actually went to Lexington and Berea, saw my
Hmm.
dad, and then I went and saw my mom, and tried to make amends with my father.
Did that work out?
Uh, it kind of did for a little bit,
Hmm.
but that all fell apart. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I forgive you, and I miss having
Yeah.
a dad, and I'd love to hang out with you.
So you went
You know,
back and finished the tour.
yeah, I
So
finished the tour.
what happened immediately after you got out of Young America? You did that. You only did that one tour, unlike
Right?
me who
Yeah,
did 13 tours. But
yeah,
you got out and you went right back to Berea.
yeah. I went back to Berea, and I decided. Well, I bought my kit, and then I bought
For
from
those who
Paragon
don't
Music.
for those who don't know what that means, he bought the drum set that he toured with. He got off
Right.
tour and he bought the drum kit. Right. Okay. And
Yeah,
what
yeah.
about Paragon Music?
Then I bought. I spent, I don't know, tens of $1,000s at Paragon buying a full PA system and full lighting, all the pars and lighting board and everything.
Right. Well, I
Everything
have
you
to stop.
need.
I have to stop you here. Did you know I worked at Paragon Music?
I did know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked there twice. I worked there. I had taken a break from touring and worked there for a year in the mid 80s, like 84, 85. And then when I got off the road in 1990, I immediately went back to work at Paragon. I was there for like 3 more years. Was that that point where when you came in and bought a bunch of stuff?
It was the first period you worked there. And that's
85?
why it would have been 84,
Okay.
probably. Let's see. No, it would have been 83. Yeah, it was late 83. But I
Okay.
knew of Paragon because at camp, some of the people, we talked about Paragon a lot. And, so I knew it was a good store. So like I said, I bought enough equipment to fill a big rider truck. And then I decided I'm going to put a band together. So my cousin Jim was going to Western Kentucky University, and we had grown up together. He's more like my older brother, he's a year older. And we grew up, and I had been playing for a while, and then he picked up the bass guitar, and he also played like horns and band.
So where did you put this band together? This one you're talking
This,
about after
this,
you bought all the stuff at Paragon?
yeah, this was Berea. So Jim was in Western Kentucky, and I said, "Hey man, I'm putting this band together, and I want you to play bass." And he said, "Man, I'm getting tired of school, so and I'm breaking up with my girlfriend. If you can come pick me up today, I'm in." So I got in my car and I drove like 4 hours to pick him up and 4 hours back. And
Wow.
so then we started rehearsing together and writing songs. And so we need a guitar player. So we went to Lexington to the music store where I bought a bunch of gear there. And on the board was a guitar player, the little paper with the pull off tabs with the phone number on it. And guitar player looking for a band, Wayne. So I pulled it off and called him up, and it was Wayne Sweeney, who ended up becoming a lifelong friend and the founder and lead guitarist of Saliva, who just passed away a couple years back.
Oh my.
But good dude.
Well, that band played in Kentucky. They played around Kentucky.
Well, no, we actually, once the three of us formed and got a tight set together, just woodshedded for a few months. Wayne said, I'm from Memphis, and I know a really excellent singer in Memphis that also plays bass and keyboards and guitar. So my family home in Memphis is empty right now, and I'm sure my mom would let us live there and put the band together. So his mom and my mom, and we all got big Ryder trucks, and we all drove down there to Memphis, and 1984, and we stayed at that house, the four of us, and practiced all day, all night, starved, paid our dues, and put together a kick-ass band, and started playing around Memphis.
Would you say
And
that
then-
that was what was a hair metal band?
No, it was just rock and roll.
Okay.
I never
You guys-
was.
You
I
guys
never
had-
was.
You guys had good hair, though.
We always had good hair. We were hair farmers for sure. I never played. I got associated with hair metal, but I was only in one band you could say was hair metal. And a lot of my friends were in those bands.
Well, let's not get ahead
Yeah.
of ourselves.
Yeah.
So you played in Memphis for a while.
Yeah, I played in Memphis for a while, and then I decided, well, it wasn't going the way I wanted to. The band started getting more interested in other things besides music, and I was, like I said, I had a work ethic that was like, delivering papers at 5 years old. So
Right.
I wasn't down for any messing around. I wanted to get back on the road and play. So I left Memphis, packed all my gear up, and moved back to Kentucky, to Lexington. And then I put together a band with Ralph Humes, amazing bass player, that was also in Showcase.
Ralph Humes had already been in Showcase and
Right.
left.
Yeah,
Ralph
I met
Humes
him.
Ralph Humes is now like the big celebrity chef to the stars.
Chef to the Stars, yeah.
Yeah.
And he has a band called Funky Uncle. He's an amazing musician and a great guy. I'd met him at camp, when we were there.
Yeah.
And we'd seen each other on the road periodically, and I was just like, that's the guy I want to play with. I mean, he's the best bass player I've
I
ever
love
heard.
that guy. I love
Yeah.
that guy.
And he was so cool, and he had a work ethic too, like he came from the same place as far as, like,
He also had
Showcase.
an amazing Jerry curl.
yeah, awesome Jerry curl.
The best.
Yeah.
A very good looking man, and he played bass like a house on fire. He was
Oh,
a
man.
fantastic bass player.
Yeah, one of the best, probably one of the best I've ever played with, for sure.
Yep. Yep. So you put together a band with Ralph in Kentucky?
I did, yeah. I got Ralph to move down from Michigan, and he brought his best friend, who was a guitar player, who was the nephew of Ray White from Frank Zappa. Zappa's
Wow.
singer, guitar player. So he was a singer, guitar player, looked and sounded just like Ray White. And then we got 3 girl singers and like a real jazzy fusion guitar player, kind of a Pat Metheny, Alan Holdsworth guy. And we put together a fusion band. It was like rock, funk, jazz fusion with amazing vocals. And the first year in Lexington that the radio station had the Battle of the Bands, that band won that. And we got a recording deal. And we
What was the
opened for
name of that
Cheap Trick. As Is. Just As Is, yeah.
Cool.
And so then, we, like I said, we got a deal, recorded, opened for Cheap Trick and some other gigs. And then through that, I had an opportunity to fill in with Diana Ross on her show and on percussion. And we got on really well, and she asked me to also sing a duet with her on tour. So I'd play percussion and then come out and we would sing a duet together. And then
Well, hold up now. We've been doing this for about an hour and you're looking uncomfortable to me. So why don't we take a short break and we'll dive into this Diana Ross period? How about that?
sounds like a plan.
Okay, I'm just going to put a banner up and put a little music on, and let's both take a couple of minutes to stretch out. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, folks, we'll be right back, just like the banner says. And we're back. Get this banner off here. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right. Now, if I understand correctly, you were playing in this fantastic fusion band called As Is, and
Yeah.
you're playing out of Memphis, was it?
No, that was Lexington, Kentucky.
Lexington. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And now, how do you go from that to having an opportunity to play with Diana Ross?
Well, um, I had, she was playing at the local Coliseum in Lexington, and her percussion player couldn't make it for some reason. So I was recommended. I was just known around there. So I was recommended. And then she found out I could sing also. And so that's how that came about. And ended up playing in my hometown in the Coliseum for 40,000 people or something. And that was amazing, singing a duet with Diana. And so then I decided, you know, it's time to, I'm going to follow her out to Hollywood. I'm going out to where the music is, you know. I've outgrown this city, and it's time to keep moving on. So that's when I packed up and drove from Kentucky to Hollywood.
How old were you at the time?
It'd been 1985, so I was a young man. I don't know, maybe 22, something like that. Yeah.
Great. And so you continued working for Diana Ross at that time?
Yeah, I would play with Diana, and then I also, through my connections with her, started working with a lot of different Motown artists, and then started working with some of the next generation of Motown kids, like Marvin Gaye III and Malik Pointer from the Pointer Sisters. That was June was his mom, and just word of mouth, people knew that I could play funk and R&B, and I have this thing where I can hear a song once, and I've got it memorized. So if I was a hired gun, basically they would say, we want to do a show here, and this is the set list, and it'll be this weekend. So they knew I could. Go ahead.
Was that a financially lucrative thing for you to be able to do that?
It was, because as soon as I got out there, I joined the musicians union, and because that's kind of what I wanted to do was, I wanted to try my hand at session work, because I love so many different kinds of music. And then I found out, I can also be a hired gun to do live stuff too. So yeah, I just kept getting recommended, and just kept getting gigs. And since I was in the union, I was getting union scale, which was amazing back then.
Fantastic.
Really good.
And you met all these famous people. And now, did you put together your own band at this time?
No, while I was out there, I was strictly doing sessions and live gig stuff, and for lots of different people.
I understand you also got into photography.
Well, I've always been an amateur photographer, and so I've always been into photography, but what I got into was modeling. That was when I was out in Hollywood. I kind of gathered a crew of maybe 15 Kentuckians around me and a few other folks, and about a third of those were models, and about a third were musicians, and a third were just random club goers and stuff. But yeah, so we had this kind of group, and they were like, "Glenn, you should do some modeling sometime." I was like, "I'm not really interested." They're like, "But you can make this much money." I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll give it a shot."
There you go. Well, I just want to go back to Showcase for a minute, because in Showcase, we had different kind of designations for different kinds of people. Like we would say,
right, yeah.
this guy's a rocker. This guy is a nerd. This guy, but a nerd could be very good in a band aspect, especially like the keyboard player guys and all that with the flock of seagulls here or whatever. Yeah, that could be very good. This guy's alternative. This guy's a rocker guy, and this guy over here, he's a pretty boy.
Right.
And not bragging, but you and I both fell into that aspect, the pretty boy guys. We were always the guys who got chosen to sing to the girl in the show. That was part of the show we did called Sing to the Girl. We get a girl out of the audience and all that. So yeah, so you were not failing in the good looks department.
Yeah, you couldn't tell it now, but yeah, back then I was I could qualify as a model, and I had long hair, and that was a look that was becoming sought after. I'd be like the only long haired guy at a shoot or at a fashion show or whatever. But yeah, so I started doing that quite a bit, just on the side when I wasn't gigging sometimes, and so. But mostly I wasn't putting together a band. I hung out with lots and lots of bands. Like I was on the Sunset Strip like almost every night, the Rainbow mostly, and then the Roxy and the Whiskey. I was friends with a lot of those hair metal bands, like Guns N' Roses and Faster Pussycat and Jane's Addiction and Poison. A lot of those bands, we all hung out at the Rainbow and went to the same parties and stuff. And at one point, I even had one of the guys in Guns N' Roses ask me to manage their band because I was driving around in a Mercedes 380 SL and making
not
union
one of those
scale.
Things. What a piece of crap.
I know, and one of the first car phones, one of the big giant car phones, the brick, yeah, and my best friend and I, who I met out in Hollywood, Rafi, peace be upon him. he's passed away, but we would, we would spend our money. He was a session player too, but we would go to the best restaurants and drink Dom Perignon and stuff. And the guys on the strip, that were struggling or whatever, they would see me and they'd be like, "Man, you're a musician. You're our age. Manage us. Tell us how you're doing it."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Well, I need to interject just a little bit here. At the same time you were meeting all these great bands and all this, a lot of these guys were getting strung out on heroin and lots of bad stuff. But you never really went there, did you?
No. Thankfully, I have incredible willpower, and like I'm a guy that can take a bag of M&Ms and eat one M&M and then put the bag down and I'm good.
Get out of here.
No, it's true. It drives Ann crazy. I don't see how you do that. I just want to taste it, then I'm done. But yeah, so I'm not saying I never tried any of that stuff. I would take one M&M and try it, see what all the fuss was about, and be like, "That's not for me," So I did try cocaine, and Julian Lennon was there, and my best friend Rafi, and then realized it wasn't, it's not something I want to do. I was playing in doing a reggae gig right before I left LA, right when heroin started coming in, because before that it was just mostly cocaine was everywhere.
Right.
But I did this reggae gig, Rafi and I, and we were with the singer afterwards, and he put out a little brown line on the table and was like, "You want some of that?" I was like, "What is it?" He was like, "Oh, it's heroin." I was like, "Well, what's it do?" And he's like, "Well, when you're ready to go to bed, snort that and you'll sleep great." So
She was. Wow.
Rafi and I split it, we slept great, but it's nothing I ever wanted to try again. I mean, and a lot of times I have an incredible constitution too, like what would get most people drunk or wasted or whatever doesn't faze me. So much so that when I would try stuff like that, like when I tried cocaine, I was like, it's not doing anything. And they're like, "What?" It's like, "Nah, man." They're like, "Well, then you don't need to do it."
Well, I am sure that if I was in a similar situation, had I not got married early and stayed with Young American Showcase and all that, if I had hot dogged it out to LA and gotten involved, I might have tried something. But I think because of where I was and what I did, I never even smoked pot. I mean, I smoked a little pot in high school, but I literally never did anything else other than some alcohol.
Yeah.
Never did any of that. So you've got that on me. You definitely do. So,
And I wouldn't have even been interested in it. But when you're in the studio for 12, 14 hours a day, and some of the people I were playing with were big names that had success, and ultimately somebody there would be doing cocaine. And it wasn't my thing. I was there to work, and even though I was making an ungodly hourly rate, I was the guy that could do it in usually one take. So they knew Glenn's going to come in and he's going to play this whole album and finish it in an afternoon or finish it in the morning, and he'll be done, so we can save money and get quality work too. So
you were a gunslinger, man.
I was, yeah.
A ringer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I loved it too, man.
Great story. Now,
because I got to play so many different styles of music. I mean,
Yeah.
many different styles. Yeah.
Didn't
great.
you also start your own modeling agency and had those other people were working for you?
I did eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was in Hollywood and like I said, I was on this, going to the strip, and that was in the 80s when it was just people everywhere, just rockers and people everywhere on the strip, lines to get in the clubs, and there'd be a line to get in the Rainbow, and I would just walk past everybody in line, and it was run by the Italian mafia, which most of those clubs on the strip, or I should say all those clubs on
Yeah.
the strip were, and they had a big hand in the music business. But I would just walk past everybody in line, and it's one of those places where they have the rope, and they
Right.
would see me coming, and it's my paisans. They'd be like, "Hey, Kentucky, come on in," and usher me to the back room in the kitchen. So
Wow.
I
This is
was,
great stuff.
yeah. So, but I saw it and I have so many stories about hanging out. I was one of those people, like, I think I told you before, when I was presented with a fork in the road, I'm like, well, I could go this way and it's nice and safe and I know the outcome. Or I could go this way and have an adventure and who knows what will happen. I usually picked
Mhm.
that route, and which usually worked out for me. Very rarely, I can't think of one time where it didn't really work out for me, except that
But for
maybe
some reason, that all came to an end, and you ended up leaving California.
yeah, I was getting to that. I started seeing uh, the heroin come in, and started seeing the music shift and something darker and not as fun. And when I was in the studio, because I was also a songwriter, and I would write songs with people, and and they were always trying to push us on a certain narrative. Like, I don't know if a lot of people may not realize, but CIA is very involved in the music business, and they use it to basically, they know that sound frequencies and lyrics and all that can influence the youth. So they would try to get me to write songs about drugs and sex and rock and roll and partying, or they would try to get me involved in those activities. And I just got tired of it. I would be the person like, look, do you play an instrument? No? Then what are you doing in the studio? We're working. And they didn't like that. They'd be like, oh, you should fire this guy. So so I saw all that going down. I was like, oh, I've had enough. And I had a dream one night about Memphis, and that I should move back to Memphis. So I woke up the next morning. I had a horrible flu. I got a bottle of NyQuil and packed up my stuff and got on a Greyhound and rode like 4 days to Memphis.
Wow. What did you do with your stuff? I mean, your Mercedes, and what happened with all that?
Yeah, I liquidated pretty much everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
sold
Okay.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, music gear,
So you
cars,
came. So you
motorcycles.
came back.
Yeah.
You're back in Kentucky,
No, I went to Memphis after that.
Memphis. Okay. So you're
Yeah, yeah,
Tennessee.
yeah.
What happened then?
Well, I didn't really know anybody besides my buddy Wayne Sweeney, the guitar player. So I linked up with Wayne, and he helped me find a place to live. And uh, I started putting together a band, and uh, in the midst of meeting people to put together a band, I was working at the studio, a polygram studio called the Warehouse, down on the Mississippi River, and the receptionist, who had become very good friends with, says, "I know a really good band that needs a drummer. Do you want to audition?" I was like, "Well, of course." So they all came to the studio. We auditioned, and I got in that band, and that was called Fire Choir. And that was probably the closest to hair metal I ever got. We were on Megaforce Records, and since then, the guitarist has gone on to play with. He's played with Before that. He played with Black Oak, Arkansas, and he's gone on to play with Winger and Starship. And the bass player's gone on to play with Starship and Bad Company. And all these guys just were excellent musicians, and we were all singers, and we did 4 or 5 part harmonies. So that was my first band in Memphis.
You had mentioned earlier that you had additional experiences with alien abduction. Uh, was there anything beyond your LA experience that led to any more of that kind of activity?
Yeah, I kind of left out one little thing. One one little chapter. Before, I should say, before Ralph and I got that band and I started As Is with Ralph. I got a couple of other showcase guys to come to Kentucky. Ben Iott, who I'd met when I was playing his high school in Michigan, and another guy, Ron,
I remember Ben very well. He was a big
yeah,
guy,
yeah,
stocky guy, bass player.
yeah,
Yeah. I think he also only did one tour with Showcase.
yeah, one tour. So after that tour, he came and we were playing and gigging around. And we were doing a gig in, I guess, Illinois or Indiana, maybe. A lot of cornfields and 2-lane road in the middle of the night. We're driving to the next gig. And him and I were driving the equipment truck that night. And dark night, 2-lane road. And all of a sudden, we're waking up on the side of the road. The truck is still running. We've switched places in the seats, and the radio's on, and we look, and we've been sitting there 2 hours, or
Wow.
2 hours have gone by that we can't account for, and we don't even remember pulling over. So it was like the classic missing time thing. We got on the road and was like, oh, we're 2 hours late to get to the gig, So I kind of left that out.
Through your life, did any of that come back to you as to what had actually happened?
No, never. And that whole period of after that, I was on the road so much and moving around so much all around. I don't think I was really off the radar, not somebody that could be tracked, So I don't think I had anything happen until the early 90s when I got off the road. Yeah.
So that wasn't the last time?
No.
That incident with Ben?
No, that was early 80s. So yeah, early 90s mid 90s was my last experiences.
Okay, so you've got this band with Ben and all that. What happened next?
Well, that was back in the timeline. That was before LA. I just had forgot about that. Wanted to interject it. So I left LA and went to Memphis. Started playing with that band. We had a record deal, Mega Force.
Fire Choir.
That band, right? Yeah. The producers and the producers started trying to mess with the band too much, trying to move people around and add new people, and it just fell apart because and trying to tell. I was the principal songwriter, and they were trying to tell me what to write about, and there again, I wasn't going to follow their plan, So that fell apart, and it's probably my fault, but I've got integrity. I wouldn't, it's not what I wanted to do. So
I totally get it. So you had to move on from there. What happened?
Yeah. So right after that, I built up a great reputation in Memphis as being like a good drummer or whatever, and singer and performer. So even before I had left Fire Choir, I had other bands asking me to fill in and do gigs and trying to pull me. So as soon as Fire Choir ended, I was back in another band, which was kind of a Zeppelin, real Zeppelin kind of original project, and did that for a while. And same kind of thing. Got in the studio. They wanted to fire this guy and hire this guy and move this guy over here, and it just that fell apart. So right about that time, I got an audition to play with a band that had opened for that last band in Memphis called Sweet FA, and it was my cousin Jim's band.
Okay.
And and I knew a couple of the other guys. I knew all the guys in the band, and so I left Memphis and went to Indianapolis and auditioned, me and like 20 other guys, and I got the gig. So we started pre-production for the tour, and the record came out, Stick to Your Guns. And so we went off and toured the United States and Canada on MCA for that, supported that. Toured with Circus of Power and Skid Row and some other bands. And that was a blast, playing with Jim again and being on the road and being in the Metal Edge magazine with my bro, my cousin Jim and stuff like that. It was cool. Finished that tour and got off the road and went back to Memphis. And Mark Lindsay from Paul Revere and the Raiders was doing a tour for his new record. So he asked if I could learn the show and go on a tour in a week. So as soon as I got back off the road, I rehearsed his music for a week and then went on tour with him, which was cool because as a kid, that was one of the bands I liked, Paul Revere and the Raiders, And I got to play with the bass player, Roland Robinson, who was bass player and songwriter with Rod Stewart. And he was the last bass player that played with Jimi Hendrix before he passed. He was in Jimmy's new band. Yeah.
I didn't leave you here. I was just on YouTube. I was looking up Sweet FA, Stick to Your Guns, and it's there.
Yeah.
It's definitely there. I'd play it. We get a little taste of that, but I'd probably get a copyright strike. So I don't want to do that.
Nah,
but
I doubt it. I doubt that you would. Yeah.
Play
the intro to Prince in the City.
There's a video. There's a music video called Rhythm of Action.
Yeah, MTV. That was
a
stupid video.
So so I plan to go check all this out when we're done here.
Yeah,
but
I wasn't in that. I wasn't in that MTV video. That was Nick Lane.
Oh, okay.
The drummer Nick Lane. Yeah, but he had broken his arm, I think, or something.
Well, the entire album is on YouTube. The entire album's called Sweet FA, Stick to Your Guns, remastered. And then it's got a full playlist. So I'll definitely be going in and checking that out. That sounds great. So you got on with Mark Lindsay.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, of course, I loved Paul Revere and the Raiders, and everybody thought that Mark Lindsay was Paul Revere, but he wasn't.
Right, yeah, he wasn't.
The blonde bass player was Paul Revere, and he was the leader of the band, and Mark Lindsay was just singing the lead singer, but obviously everybody knew who Mark Lindsay was after that.
Yeah.
With his little ponytail and the bangs.
Yeah.
And I remember the song Kicks real well. I remember that song very, very well. Loved that song.
Oh yeah. I played.
Great tune.
They were like the only band to have, I don't know, like 10 number one hits in 1 year or something, or a few. Yeah, they were.
And they probably didn't write those songs.
Yeah. Probably about half. Probably wrote about half or collaborated, but yeah.
At that point, Boyce and Hart and some others were writing pretty much everything.
Right.
All the hit rock songs, on the pop rock radio.
And most of those bands weren't playing their instruments. It was the wrecking crew.
No.
I
recently did a deep dive into the Cowsills.
Yeah.
And there's a great documentary out there on the Cowsills.
I saw that.
Lots of stuff out there on that. And you learn a lot from that stuff. But nobody was allowed to play their own instrument. The Monkees, of course, but they were actors with a little bit of musical background, not a lot.
Right.
But
when I was in Hollywood, I did a lot of that too. Like they would call me up and say, we've got this band, we've signed them, or this is their second record and they're really blowing up, but the drummer, he was wasted during the session and we can't use anything of it. Is there any way you can come in the morning and fix this? So I'd be like, sure. So I would go in and in a few hours, fix whatever they needed, just replay it, and the drummer most of the time would think it was his part. Nobody would ever know, they'd be like, I rocked that out pretty good, didn't I? And then everybody would be like, actually, yeah. So, and he didn't get credit for that. It's called you're a ghost musician. Yeah. So I did a bunch of that.
I'm looking right now at a live video of Sweet FA. Don't know when it's from. I know it was uploaded 14 years ago, but it would be a lot older than that, I would think, unless this was some kind of reunion or something.
They did a reunion, yeah, and it wasn't like all original people.
I'm sure it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this looks like what I'm looking at right here. Looks like it would have been from that time, a reunion time. These guys look like they're 35 to 40 years old.
Yeah, it was a reunion thing. And I have to say, that band was definitely hair metal. I forgot about that band. So yeah, I was in another hair metal band.
So how long did the Mark Lindsay thing last?
Oh, that was one tour, like a summer, I guess. And then I went back to Memphis and I started a band with guitar player from Jimmy Jameson from Survivor, and it was called Driving South, Hal McCormick and I, and we wrote a bunch of songs and got a record deal with CBS and was recording at Joe Walsh's studio there in Memphis, and that was a great experience to start with. Got to meet Stevie Ray Vaughan there. He recorded there, and Leland Sklar and some other of my heroes.
Did you ever meet Jim Peterick?
No, never did.
He was the guy behind Survivor. He was in Survivor, but he was one of the guitar players in Survivor. But before that, he had the Ides of March.
Yeah.
If you remember that vehicle, I'm your friendly stranger in the black sedan, all that stuff.
Yeah. So Survivor, after that first record, the singer left, and then they got Jimmy Jameson to sing, which was a Memphis guy that I used to play with too.
Yeah, they got somebody after him too. They had 3 albums with 3 different lead singers, if I remember correctly.
Well, he was their longest singer. He did multiple albums with them and all their big hits. That was the only singer.
Search Is Over.
And, that's Jimmy. All of those. Yeah.
Great voice. And, awesome voice.
And a great guy. He's passed away too. But so then Driving South, that band, same thing happened. The record company producers came in, and I think it was Tom Zutaut, maybe from Geffen. Same guy that signed Guns N' Roses and some other. But anyway, first it was okay, you need a new singer, and then it was okay, we're going to move the singer to keyboards, and we're going to get another singer. They just kept wanting to move things around, and they'd be in the studio when we were working, and I just wasn't having it again, and said this isn't going to work if you guys are going to be trying to tell us what to do. And then of course they wanted to tell us how to write songs, what to write about.
Yep.
And of course I did fly again, so I quit and left Memphis and came back to Kentucky. Came back to Kentucky. That would have been the early 90s, and bought a house and put together another band.
So you were never really struggling financially through all of this. You were doing pretty well from your Hollywood days.
Oh yeah, and the modeling thing, while I was in Memphis, before I started Driving South, in that break between bands, I got a job with the largest modeling agency in the world at the time, Elite Models, and in their Memphis branch. And at first I was just doing a little modeling and then they wanted me to do a little instructing, and then before long, I was in charge of the place. I was the director, so I just kind of moved my way up until I was running the whole place, and started a lot of models' careers, and
In Memphis.
yeah,
And then, and when you left Memphis, you left that all behind too.
I did. Yeah,
So what happened?
I just decided it was time to. Memphis was getting more violent, and I pretty much felt like that the music. I pretty much played with everybody in Memphis, and I still keep in touch with all of them. I love all those people, and they've gone on to do great things, you know. And we still keep in touch, you know. Just my birthday not long ago, Skinner came through town, and two of those people are my friends from Memphis days. So I got, you know, and I went and got to have a little reunion with them. And,
That's great. What did you do back in Kentucky?
so I came back to Kentucky, bought a house, and decided I wanted to put together another band, but I wanted to put together a different band. Something where there was, the motto was going to be, there are no rules musically. So I got my cousin Jim again, who happened to be living in the same town at the time. So that worked out perfectly. And then a childhood friend who had picked up the guitar and was a singer. And we started a band called Peace.
Hold up. That got
Started
lost totally.
rehearsing.
That chop. What was the name of that band?
Okay. Peace Monkey.
Peace Monkey. Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah. So I built a studio in my house, and we started rehearsing. And basically, my idea was to improvisation, free form, just jam until something for the ether comes, you know, until the muse speaks. So we would just get in there and jam until before long, we'd written 2 CDs worth of material, and
Got it.
and decided, well, and in the meantime, we were going to Florida for the summers. We'd go there for a few weeks in the summer at a beach house and write songs and treasure dive. And I always came back with a new CD after that, and more adventure stories about treasure we had found. So yeah, that band did really well. And at the same time that I was doing that band, I ended up playing as a hired gun. I was playing with about 6 different bands at the same time, gigging.
Where would you be gigging? What cities at this point?
Yeah, so Lexington, Louisville, and you know, locally Richmond, places like that. But it was enough bands, enough different styles of music that it made it interesting, and I was always busy and just loving it. You know, like playing almost every night of the week and getting paid good, and a variety of music, and did that for a while. And then about 95, I started in the town where I lived. I was living in Berea, but I would go to this cave when I had days off, and it's usually I would go on a full moon and camp. So I would just go to this.
You're quite an explorer.
Yes,
You
yes.
do like to go out there in the wilderness and the caves of Kentucky and
Love it. Yeah.
and do a lot of exploring.
Love it. Yeah. I grew up, our family farm was like 6,000 acres. And from the time I was 3 years old, they would just set us loose on the farm. And we would just roam the woods, you know, all day until it got dark. You know, we got hungry, we'd pick some berries and some fruit, you know, and we'd get home by dark. So I've always been exploring the forest and the woods, and especially got into treasure hunting and archaeology and history. So I love Kentucky history, and I love all, like where I live now, there's thousands of caves and just so many places to explore and discover, you know.
So how did you close out the 90s getting into the 2000s?
Well, the 90s, that's when I had my other ET experiences, uh, as far as what you could say were abductions and interactions with either extraterrestrials or ultra-terrestrials. I'm not sure. Uh, so,
Seems like they've always taken an interest in you since childhood. They're
yeah,
they were
yeah,
following up on you
yeah, they
later on,
were. And at this time in my life, I was really reading a lot of studying world religions, world mythologies. Um, got interested in Joseph Campbell and the power of myth, and then that led me to shamanism. And then I realized that when I was playing these gigs, sometimes if it was in a really good rhythm and a really good jam, sometimes I would feel like I was leaving my body, and I was trying to figure out why. So I was reading Joseph Campbell and ran into him talking about Siberian shamans and how they would achieve trance-like states because of certain beats per minute on a drum of a certain frequency, and they could leave their bodies and astral project and other things, and that's what I was experiencing. And then I checked into the physiological side of it, and it was like, yeah, okay, there is some science here. There's some, you know. And so then I started going to this cave and doing the drumming, and with the intention of meeting these other beings. Like that was, I fully went there wanting to do that, to connect. And then through my meditations and my drumming, you know, I would have out of body experiences.
Well, hey,
Or
hold up now. You talked
yeah,
about through meditation and drumming. You were talking about specifically cave drumming.
yes, yes,
Cave drumming.
yeah. See, when you're in a
Which
cave,
why don't you talk a little bit about cave drumming and what that is? What does that look like, sound like,
yeah,
whatever?
yeah. So in a cave, and this cave in particular, it's you can walk in through the ceiling and you're in a giant room, and there's a creek running through it and it flows out of another opening. There's a great spot right there to camp and build a fire. So when you're in a cave, you're underground, you're shielded from EMFs and other uh, elect- electromagnetic frequencies that can interfere with your brain waves and frequencies that, you know, so you're shielded from a lot of that. And then when you're drumming, there's certain beats per minute that can induce trances, and there's certain frequencies, sound frequencies, that are more conducive to, like the hemisync, the same thing they did when we were a kid. You can sync both hemispheres of your brain through this frequency and this rhythm. And also, I was practicing pranayama meditation, which is basically breath control, and kundalini yoga, which is uh, taking your life force and connecting with the universal life force. So I was doing these things, and I started having experiences. And one of you're talking about them checking up on me after one of these experiences, where I definitely had contact with extraterrestrials, uh, mantis, and three large grays. The next morning, I noticed on my left thigh, dime-sized wound, fresh wound. And after it healed up, I could feel something in there, like a BB-sized, something hard. And I would go back to the cave every full moon, and I would drum, and I would do this, and I would have experiences. And sometimes that spot on my leg would be like red or irritated the next day. After about 6 or 9 months of this, one time the next day, it was gone. Whatever in my leg was gone. And it left a scar, a scoop mark. It was like they took something and just scooped it out. The scar is still there 20 years later. And there's a really big hypodermic looking needle mark right beside it that they won't go away. And I didn't realize what this was at the time, but just a few years ago, I ran across Dr. Roger Lear, who had taken some of these things out of people and who had had the same kind of experiences, and they were implants, and they had actual micro, you can only see them under a microscope, but little electronics and things. So I think they were keeping tabs on me.
Absolutely fascinating stuff. So this is about the mid 2000s.
No, this is like
period here.
95.
Oh, so it's been like 30 years.
Right.
30
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, where to go from there?
So I had many, many experiences in that cave. And that's where I had my first experience with Bigfoot, was at that cave. And I should mention that this cave is on a creek that is named after Daniel Boone's camp that was here.
Wait a minute. Hang on. Are you talking about the same place where you're living now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're talking about that very same place.
Yeah. I've been coming here for years.
I mean, I drove to your house
Yeah.
and came off the highway, and then it was about a 4-mile drive to your house, and it was very twisty, turny.
Yeah.
And then at one point it got down very low and crossed a creek. You're talking about that creek, aren't you?
That creek, yes.
The cave is very close to there.
Very close, yeah. Within walking distance.
To that little bridge you go across and you drive on.
Yeah.
And then at some point you bought that property, about 40 acres, that is it's within 5 minutes of where that creek and that cave is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've been there. How long have you been in that house?
Oh, I've only been in this house maybe since, I think it was like maybe 2017, maybe.
Wow. Well, that's just a very spiritual area for you, right there.
Oh, it is. I've been going to this.
I'm sure why you bought that property and you're.
I've been going to this cave since high school. I've been
my.
going there since high school. Yeah.
Which is not it. I mean, you're still 20, 25 miles outside of Berea.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like right outside of Berea. It's
it's a day trip. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, carry on. So.
Yeah.
You had all the experiences, and where did that lead you?
So this creek, like I said, is on. It's named after Daniel Boone's campsite here, and in Daniel Boone's biography, he mentions having a run-in with what he called a Yahoo, which was a character from a Jonathan Swift novel, which was like this big hairy creature. So while he was on one of his long hunts here, he heard a commotion, and he ran back to see his son being picked up over his head by a Sasquatch and thrown onto the ground, picked up again, thrown onto the ground. And Daniel Boone said he was getting ready to pick him up again, and Daniel shot him in the chest, and it stunned him, but it didn't kill him. So then he shot him between the eyes and killed him before he could kill his son. So he'd never seen, anything like this. So like I said, he called it a Yahoo. But he was digging his bullets out, because back then you didn't waste bullets, you reused everything. So he was digging the one out of the chest, and said that it wasn't like breastplate and rib cage, that it was just all breastplate. And that's why that first shot didn't kill him. It was like he had some kind of natural bone armor there. So anyway, that account of Daniel Boone was right here in the area where I live. And this cave is one of the old camping spots. So it has a history. Not only that, the show Finding Bigfoot has been here and did a show from right here where I live in this county and talked to the sheriff who had an encounter, and some other who all lives a couple miles away from me. So there's a big history of Bigfoot here. At the time, I didn't know anything about Bigfoot. This is mid 90s. I'd never heard of a Bigfoot. I'm camping at the cave, and it's full moon, and it's about 2 a.m, and I walk up out of the cave into the forest, and I'm just standing there. All the leaves are down. It's the fall, full moon behind my back, and it's just beautiful. I'm just admiring the beautiful night. And right behind me, I hear and feel a low growl, like, and I could feel it all in my chest. And I turned around and I looked up, and there's just silhouetted by the moon an 8-foot tall Bigfoot. I didn't know what a Bigfoot was. I thought, there's a freaking monster. I was scared. I was just frozen, and I was staring at its face that I couldn't see because the moon was behind it. And then I had this thought in my head, maybe I shouldn't be staring at this monster in the eyes. And so I looked down, and saw that its body and its legs. And then I just thought in my head, like telepathy. I just thought, for some reason, I thought, look, dude, I don't mean you any harm. I'm just going to walk back down into the cave and sit by the fire and mind my own business. And that's what I did. I sidestepped. Oh, I should say, he was 3 feet away from me. He just could have reached out and ripped my head off if he wanted to. But I just sidestepped like 10 steps until I got to where the entrance of the cave was. And then I went down back in and sat by the fire all night and didn't come out. Had no idea what I saw. It just scared me, And I didn't for years after that until I found out what Bigfoot was. And I was like, yeah, I've seen one of those.
Fantastic. Wow, what an experience.
And since then, I've had more encounters there, and I've taken people there with cameras and recording equipment, and we've had more encounters and actually recorded them talking to each other outside the cave in this, what they call a samurai chatter. It's just like this bizarre jibber jabber, but they were going at it and got that twice on tape. So it's a place where we had rocks thrown at us the last time we were there. And then one night I was camping, not in the cave, but up on the high part of the property. The low part is where the cave is, but at the high part of the property, my best friend and I, who's a drummer also, we built an outdoor stage, and we had a sound system, and we would have jams on summer nights. We'd all get out there and jam and have a cookout, just out in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. But it was so much fun. So we did that one night, and it was time to crash out and everything. So I was going to go sleep in my tent, which was back in this apple orchard, about 100 yards away. So I went and laid down, and this was 2013, and was asleep. And then I was awakened by that same low growl right outside the tent, right by my head. That low growl, I can't even do it. It was right there. And so I woke up and I was just frozen. I was like, okay, I know what that is. You could hear him breathing. And I was like, they heard the music, smelled the food. They probably just come in to check us out, And then I heard it after maybe 2 minutes, stand back up and walk off. But it seems like anytime I was in the cave drumming or we were out there jamming, something would happen. Like they were interested and curious about the music, it seems.
Wow. Now, when you were out there jamming, was it just acoustical? Because how did you have any power out there?
No, we had power. It was, we hooked it up right. I mean, we ran power to 220, and we had lights and everything.
So,
I mean,
you weren't out in the middle of nowhere. You had
yeah. I should say his house was up on that high part of the farm.
Oh, okay.
So But we did. I mean, we ran power out to it. We built a cover stage, and maybe like it wasn't like we were having gigs. It was like 2 or 3 of our friends might come, and
Right.
it was just something to do.
Hey, listen, Glenn, we've been at this for 2 hours now. Do you think if we went for another half hour, 45 minutes, or even another hour, do you think that we'd be able to get you up to present day between then and now?
For sure.
Are you up
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah, man. I'm ready.
Great. Okay, well, let's take another little break, and
Stretch out.
I'll go check on the ribs I got on the smoker for dinner tonight. I'll go check on that, and we'll be in good shape, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, man. Let's do it. I'll see you back in here in a few minutes.
All right.
And we're back. Are you back?
We're back.
All right, we're back. Very, very good. Well, this has been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed the hell out of this, and
Me
we got
too.
a little bit more to go to get you up to current day,
Yeah.
basically.
And I'm leaving out. I'm leaving out tons of stuff too.
Why? Why do you leave anything out?
I mean, there's just it could go so. I mean, we didn't even touch on all the Hollywood adventures I had, but I mean,
Well,
we can always do a part
We
2.
did pretty good, but you know what? We can always come back and do a whole nother hour on a
That's right.
particular topic, and which I'd be happy to do. I'm always looking for long form stuff like this to do. So anyway, we took you up to the time when you were about what? How old?
I'd be about 33 at the time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a long time between that until now, but
Yeah.
let's try to take the next 30 to 45, maybe even an hour to wrap it up to
Okay.
talk about how you get to where you are now.
Yeah. So at that same period, 33 years old, I decided I wanted to record some original music, and I was really getting into the drumming and world music, Peter Gabriel and stuff like that. So I went in the studio and did recorded a couple of CDs, and have used those and gone on to do some soundtrack, film, TV type stuff along the same lines. But then after that, I was still playing with lots of my local band friends, still, six bands or something. And sometimes I would do a festival, an outdoor festival with a lot of bands. And sometimes I might, I think, hey, you look at the T-shirt, it's like, oh, I'm in that band, that band, that band, that band, and then I'm doing my solo stuff. So I might be with 5 bands at one festival. So I was working hard, and eventually just decided that I was getting to a place where I had been hit by a car in Hollywood when I was doing some work out there on my way to a Tori Amos session, and the injuries had caught up with me, and I'm starting to have a lot of pain playing and stuff. So I decided it was time to retire, and I was at a place where I could do that. So I retired and bought this house where I am now, in this 40 acres, and just decided to spend most of my time doing exploring in history and archaeology. I've discovered, archaeological sites.
We got to get into that. I mean, because you found an ancient Indian campground on your property.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a great story. I mean, the artifacts, the connections you made with the state archaeological people, and the conclusions that they came up with in regard to this really kind of rewrote the books.
It definitely did rewrite the history books.
Well,
for
why
Kentucky.
don't you tell that story? Yeah, you've been on this property for how long?
Uh, I had not been on the property very long, and I was exploring it, all of it, and found this one place. It's right across the road from my house. It's literally like 100 feet from where I'm sitting right now. Uh, I'm on top of a mountain, and there's a huge cliff line that runs along, and it's probably a 40-foot cliff, maybe. But
Yeah,
under that,
you took me out there, and I
yeah,
saw that. That was
yeah,
that I'm like that was spooky. I was scary. I'm like I got to back away from here.
yeah,
It was a
yeah,
sheer drop, and there was I guess a creek running through down there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Spring, yeah,
that was a long way down. That was a
yeah.
long way down. Yeah, go ahead,
So,
keep going.
so along that ridge, I found an overhang in the cliffs, and that's what they call a rock shelter or a rock house, and that's where natives would camp and have uh, their house sites. So I found this spot and realized that it was an ancient site, and something that needed to be checked out. So I got the state archaeologist at the time, who was from England, to come here, and we had lunch, and then asked him to sign a book that he had written. It was a textbook. He was like, "Oh, so you're one of the two people that bought that book?" I was like, "Yeah, I read it 5 times." He was like, "That's amazing." So throughout the afternoon, and we went down and explored the site and decided it needed to be excavated. So with the University of Kentucky and his help, we excavated it and found charcoal that we carbon dated. I should mention that the narrative was that no Native Americans lived in Kentucky
Right.
past 10,000 years, and mostly it was a hunting ground shared by the Shawnee and the Cherokee. But with this site and what we found, the charcoal we carbon dated to 12,000 years plus the artifacts were 12,000 years old plus. So that blew that theory out of the water.
Yep.
And they literally had to rewrite all the history that they've been teaching
Well,
because
time
of
out now.
because of the Quiggins site.
You found lots of artifacts.
Yes,
Talk about
lots.
that.
Oh, so many artifacts that showed continual occupation from 12,000 years to the present historical period, which is when Europeans came in. So not only was they there 12,000 years ago, but they were there continually. And in the same area, I have found earthworks that were previously undiscovered, quite a few ceremonial mounds, and the artifacts are just everywhere. I mean, every time I go to that particular creek below my house, I come back with a bag full of stone tools and artifacts. This is kind of an
You
example.
talk about tools, weapons. Oh, that thing's awesome.
This is kind of an example of what you'll find around here. This is an axe,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably about a 4 pound axe, maybe 5 pound. Quite a weapon,
Yeah.
or tool. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and this is from the archaic period. So this is only about 6,000 years old. But yeah, so yeah, I've got all the artifacts, so many artifacts that I had to go and actually work at the University of Kentucky for a summer, drawing and cataloging all these artifacts. And the head of the department, who was the state archaeologist, he was like, "So where did you get your doctorate?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have a doctorate. I taught myself everything I know."
School of Hard Knocks.
Right. He said, you know more than any of my doctorate students. Would you like to come work here? And you could be my number 2. I was like, "Hey, that sounds cool." He's like, "You'll have the keys to the warehouse with every artifact we've ever found in Kentucky, and all access to all the maps and all that. And as a history archaeological nerd, I was like, yes. So I went there in Lexington, University of Kentucky, and worked there for a couple of months until we got my site all cataloged and everything. And then I decided, well, it's too much driving. As you know, I'm not a big driver anymore. So I kind of retired from that position. But yeah, that was an amazing find. And since then, I just keep finding more and more sites, and it's exciting to me. Yeah.
What a thing that is, man. What an incredible thing. Now I just want to kind of correlate a little bit here, because you're talking 12,000 years old. This makes it we're talking about the same basic time as like Pumapunku
Göbekli Tepe.
Göbekli Tepe. I mean, the same relative time.
Yeah.
This has completely blown up popular archaeology. I mean, and there are still many what I call bitter clingers who
Yes.
are refusing to believe that we've had this many stages of civilization
Yeah.
over 10 to 12 to maybe even 15,000 years.
Yeah.
And
It just keeps.
in fact, this even predates the Great Flood.
Yes.
I mean, they're talking about, okay, the Great Flood was maybe possibly about at the end of what they called the Younger Dryas
Right.
period.
Yeah.
And that, in fact, all of
Yeah.
this
They've
stuff,
actually, Kentucky at one point was an inland sea, like 300 to 500 million years ago, an inland sea. And on one of the ridges close to me, which is a sandstone ridge, used to be beach, they found human footprints, bare footprints, in sandstone, tens of thousands of years old. Of course,
Mhm.
nobody would say, yeah, that's true, because of what you just explained. So for a long time, they said, oh, it was just a carving made by the Indians. But since then, they found, just recently, even out west, footprints that are 70 plus thousand years old in rock. So yeah, there were humans.
yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. I mean, if my second ship ever comes in, which we're hoping could be soon here, it's been my wildest dream to be able to travel to some of these places and to see
Yeah.
see some of these ancient civilizations up close. I'm
That
most
reminds me, I left out. I moved to Belize. I bought place on an island off the coast of Belize before I bought this place, and basically went down there to retire. Got down there on the island, which was the largest of like 200 reef islands in the Western Caribbean, and got down there, and there was like 5 bands and no drummer. There was one drummer, the guy from Berlin, but he had gotten too old to play. So all these guys were like, hey, go ahead and come play with us. So I had like 5 bands in Belize in my retirement. But while I was there, I went and explored all these Mayan ruins and found Mayan ruins that hadn't been discovered yet. They just looked like mounds in the jungle. Brought back all kinds of cool artifacts, pottery and obsidian stuff. Yeah, that was a dream come true for me, to go there and
Yeah, I
be able
bet.
to walk up those pyramids. And yeah, kind of
what made you decide to leave Belize?
I had planned on staying there pretty much, indefinitely. But my mother, who was back in Kentucky, was getting older. She was up on an 8-foot ladder pruning a tree and fell off and broke 5 ribs.
Oh.
And my sister wasn't around. Nobody was around to take care of her. So I left Belize and came back to Kentucky and took care of her, and then ended up buying this place, which is, she lives on it too. So
Yeah, I know your mom's got a house just like 100 yards away from you, right?
right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
kind of
great.
looking after her, you know.
Great. Getting back to the ancient civilization stuff, it just absolutely blows my mind. Uh, what the more and more it's studied, the more we're finding out, and just more now with the use of space lidar and all of that. They're talking about the structures that's underneath the pyramids now, and even
Yeah,
beyond the pyramids, the entire, what do they call it, pavilion or whatever, entire
the
area there,
labyrinth
that
and
the labyrinth is deep
yeah,
underground now,
yeah,
and all that. And the most mind-blowing thing to me about those particular spots, including Gobekli Tepe, is that they're not going to continue excavating it.
yeah. It makes no
It
sense.
Gobekli Tepe
It's
is 1/10 of it has been excavated, and that's a large area.
yeah,
But they're
and there's
saying
so many other
90% of it is going to go untouched, and it's like, why? They said,
right.
and it's in Turkey, right? And they're
Yeah,
saying, well, we're going to leave that to future
yeah,
generations.
it's insane. And that's only one of the tepes around there. You know, they keep
Yeah,
discovering new ones. You know,
yeah.
this tepe just means hill, but yeah.
And all,
So
all the stuff that's under the pyramid that they've discovered through the lidar technology and all that. Who's this? Who's that asshat who runs all that in there? That
Zawi Hawass,
yeah,
Zawi
Gary
Hawass,
Hawass.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
What
one
a
of the one of
moron.
the one of the funniest and stupidest Joe Rogan episodes you'll ever watch is Gary
Oh,
Hawass.
it's in my book. You have to read my book. Well, if you want to know, it's in my book. Only in my book. My book is like the
Yeah,
Bible.
yeah.
Just God.
I saw there was last year, maybe the year before, that Mr. Beast, uh, the famous Mr. Beast on YouTube, had actually gone there and rented the pyramids for like 48 hours. And Zawi Hawass was their
That's crazy.
guide the entire time. And nobody else was allowed into that while Mr.
No.
Beast was out there doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, guys, that kid has made multi millions of dollars from YouTube, just from being a guy who didn't know his butt from a hole in the ground a number of years ago, but just
Yeah.
leveraged that whole YouTube platform to the hilt. And we've seen what he has become and what's happened with him. But what a story! What a great story!
Yeah.
Uh, but oh man, the ancient civilization stuff. I'm particularly attracted to Puma Punku, and there's another one that's like about just like 50 or 60 miles from there. That
Saksay Huam.
what's that?
Saksay Huam, I think.
Not ringing a bell,
Yeah.
but they're actually just about an hour's ride, couple hours ride away from Puma Punku. But Puma Punku freaks me out more than some of the other ones do because of the H blocks
Yeah.
and how they were cut and the very intricate way that they would fit together. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you can't cut that. You can't cut that. That's not something you can cut.
And then how are you going
At
to move
least,
it?
exactly. At least without
Yeah.
any technology there is today. My particular thought lines up with theories of these were not cut; they were formed, they're molded, as it
Right.
were, from
Yeah.
molten rock.
Yeah.
That they were molded, formed, and also that they were levitated.
Exactly.
The quarry these things came from is 60 miles away.
Yeah. Sound
And
levitation.
through sound levitation, through manipulation,
Yeah.
frequency manipulation, and finding that these things had to have been moved,
Yeah.
levitated to get to
Levitated,
where they were
right.
going.
Yeah.
And it's just technology that you and I know nothing about, but
Well,
maybe
I know a
some
little.
governments and personalities do.
I know a little about it. I know that they're doing experiments with it now, where
I'm sure they are.
and it works. But I know that it's been done for thousands of years by Tibetan yogis, and I did it myself in the cave, meditating. I had a friend with me. He said I levitated about 2 feet off the ground. I was in the lotus position. I just came up, and I was in a deep meditative trance. And he said I levitated, and then after a while I went back down on the ground and laid on my back. And then he said he thought I was dead because it didn't look like I was breathing. So he actually came over and pulled me out of the trance. But yeah, so acoustic levitation is definitely, and there's many accounts of it being seen throughout history. There's an account of Tibetan monks moving large boulders with those big horns and drums until they reached a certain frequency, could levitate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that people should not be afraid of. That people need to start getting in touch with the fact that there is so much we don't know, and so much we could learn and develop, just through our minds, through our brain power.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be afraid of, and it's obviously nothing to ridicule and.
Yeah, it's something that's basically all individuals have, or I think all individuals have, but I've been corrected on that by other people. But I think, and it's something that's been kind of, besides people like me who it was encouraged in, it's been, there's been programs to keep them down also, like fluoride in the water. They've proven that.
Well, you and I discussed a little bit about this the other day when we were on the phone. You talked about like the basal ganglia of the brain or whatever, and how some are larger than others or more developed than others.
Yeah, yeah.
And that these people tend to be have more of a psychic ability or other senses that are far more highly developed.
It's true, yeah. I had a CAT scan done once of my brain, and that's one thing they pointed out, that my basal ganglia was thicker than normal, and then they explained that that's probably because I'm a drummer, and that part of your brain is syncs, so your physical movements, coordination, psychic abilities, all those things are increased because there's more pathways for neurons and stuff to fire through. Yes, it's interesting. It's scientific.
Well, I didn't have that done, but I did have an MRI about 10 years ago, which revealed that I had something called an arachnoid cyst that is the size of my fist at the bottom on this side of my skull, and it's pushing my medulla oblongata out of the way. It's basically just a fluid sac.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, get rid of it. They said, no, we don't mess with that. It's just, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. Well, am I going to get headaches from this or what? No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just leave it alone, and like, okay. So I don't know anything about my basal ganglia, but I do know I've got a water balloon in my head the size of my fist.
Yeah, the size of a tarantula.
I said, what caused this? And well, you might have received a blow to your head. I said, I received many of those.
Yeah.
I had many blows to my head over my life.
Yeah.
Including that wild accident I had in Newfoundland, where and it was this side of my head that hit the glass and blew up, and every window blew out, and bam, when you flip a truck like that and land on its side after flipping over an 8-foot ice bank, and then bam, like that. Yeah, I had a headache for about a week. That could have been when this thing started developing. I don't know.
Sounds like it to me.
It's a fluid sac, like as if it's protecting, like it's filling up with fluid to protect the injury, right?
Yeah.
But it never goes away. Once it's there, it's just there. But yeah, I do have that. I got that going for me, which is nice.
Yeah. I didn't mean to be staring at that as we were talking.
You can't see it from the outside, even if I shake. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Lordy.
That's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Yeah. Oh man. Well, okay. So I want to hit people a little bit to your YouTube channels because
Okay.
you've got them up there and you want people to see them, right?
Sure, sure, sure.
And
Yeah.
you've got one there on cave drumming, right?
Yeah. On my, it's my music channel. It's just called Glenn Quiggins.
Okay, I'm gonna pull this up here so we can look at it. Right now, if I okay now this I'm not on your YouTube channel
Right.
yet, but
Yeah.
let's do that.
And there's two videos on there. One with LED sticks and one with the hands. The one with the hands is typical cave drumming. But
Okay, I've got two. I've got Glenn Quiggins of Sweet FA. That's Glenn Quiggins. I've got
there's the
another,
channel. That's the channel there.
this one here.
Yeah. Click on that.
This one.
Yeah.
This is the one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
this is Glenn Quiggins on YouTube. And there's Fire Choir there. That's you back there. I see you on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we are. There you are again. So
Go
is
to,
that a music video? Is that Fire Choir music video?
It is.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
you've
Well-
got shamanic drumming
Yeah. Keep scrolling over
or down. Right?
or down. Yeah. And keep going.
If you just go to videos here.
Okay. All right. Cave drumming number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, that's typical. But the drum was not tuned right because of the
I don't have the sound on.
humidity. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the sound on.
But that's the cave.
Uh-huh. Fascinating.
That's
Absolutely
where-
fascinating. Great. And let me see if I can get a little bit of this sound. Let's see. Yeah, what a thing that is, man. That's crazy. I love it. Absolutely love it. So that's on your YouTube page, Glenn Quiggins. And
Yeah.
anything else we should pull up here?
Oh, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff there.
You got
Let's see.
Cave Drumming Part 2.
Yeah, that's
I see you're using some lit up sticks there. I used to have those, but one of my grandchildren broke those in half. Peace Monkey, you've got Peace Monkey up there.
yeah.
Yep. Peace Monkey video looks like a live video from Peace Monkey.
And it's
You've got
Cool.
Fire Choir, Sweet FA. You got a bunch of this stuff up there for people to follow up on.
a lot of different groups I played with over the years.
Wayne Swinney,
Yeah,
got him documented here.
yeah.
Saliva. Yep. There's a lot of good stuff here. A lot of great stuff here. And hello.
Some of it,
I accidentally removed you from the scene here. But okay. So is there anything else you want to bring up while we're at it?
No,
Is
that's
that pretty much it?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm working on
Okay.
a new YouTube channel that's just going to be mostly like history and archaeology type stuff,
Good.
and
Good.
with occasional, story thrown in there. But that's
Yeah,
still
well,
in the works.
keep me in the loop on that. I'd love to know all about that and help you get the word out about it.
Yeah, man.
Great, good deal. And you're all set up for life now there in your beautiful property in Kentucky, outside of Berea, about 25 miles or so. And you put in your own swimming pool there, which was really
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah,
because it's a large pool,
it's a large
but
pool.
it's above ground.
Has to be.
and
I'm on a big rock.
It's just kind of like a big bag,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, it's just kind of like a big bag, and you built a deck all the way around it. You built
Yeah.
your own tiki bar there.
Yeah, thatched roof tiki bar.
It's a beautiful area. It's great for hanging out, and I need to come back when the weather is warm,
Yeah, for sure.
and we check that out.
Yeah,
Um,
I missed Belize, so I had to bring some of the island life,
oh, you definitely did that.
to
It's
the
got the vibe.
mountains.
It's
Yeah,
definitely got the vibe. I loved it. It was great.
yeah.
So yeah, nice home and all that property. Um, if I come back during the warmer weather, are you going to be able to take me down to the Indian campsite?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, is there any climbing involved in that, or
No, no climbing.
no climbing? It's just
Yeah,
we can walk to it.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
great
We can
stuff.
walk to
'Cause
it in 5 minutes. Yeah,
I want to be part of that. Um,
I'm getting
I
ready
want
to
to
explore a new campground with a
really,
waterfall in a cave.
really
Yeah, on that same creek, but it's someplace that
very
hadn't
cool.
been explored yet.
Very cool. Definitely
But
need to do
yeah,
that.
you need to come back in the summer when it's warm, and we'll.
Yeah. Now, so, is there anything else we need to cover? Just
Well,
in regard to your life?
one interesting thing that happened the last couple of years. I had this guy Nathan Isaac and another guy Steve Berg. Uh, Nathan's a director and producer, and he was on that Hellier TV show, and he has a podcast called Pennyroyal. But him and Steve Berg, who is an actor, who's been on like Drunk History and uh, Two Broke, a bunch of shows. Anyway,
Yeah, I know who Steve Berg is.
yeah, yeah. So those guys, I linked up with them and was telling them about the place here, and they decided they wanted to come and check it out and film a little project they're working on. So they've been here a couple times, but the first time they were here, we were doing some interview stuff and talking, and I had mentioned that, yeah, every night we have UFOs show up, and about 9 o'clock when it gets dark, you'll see them. They'll be right there. They'll hang around for about an hour or whatever, and it's I'm talking to these guys. It's like a 12-man crew, like Emmy award winning cameramen and sound guys and everything, and they're all like, oh yeah, okay, cool, cool. And there's one skeptic in the group. He didn't believe at all. And so after we finish all the interviews and stuff, we're sitting out on my back porch there, having some refreshments, and it's just getting dusk. And we're all just sitting there. And that one skeptic camera guy, he walks out into the yard and goes, "Hey, there's a UFO right where Glenn said it would be. Come here." So everybody runs out and gets their phones out and starts trying to unpack the cameras because we were already packed up. And so 12 people who had never seen a UFO got to watch and film a UFO for about an hour. And it just blew their minds. I mean, I've talked to them since. And
Now, is he going to do anything with any of that footage?
yeah, actually, it's there's we also went and camped at the cave and got some Bigfoot stuff. But yeah, it's supposed to be a TV show, a series, and I guess the episode we did here will be the first episode. And from what I understand, it should be available, on streaming here in a few weeks, maybe.
Well, keep us updated.
Yeah.
Let me know what's happening with that. That's great. Well, if you don't have anything else, I guess we can wrap this up.
Sounds good.
It's been an awesome opportunity for me to deep dive. I mean, I learned more about you today than I did sitting in your house for 3 days. So yeah, it's all good. I knew bits and pieces of everything you've been through, but
Right.
you were able to string it all together for me. You've had a
Yeah.
fascinating life, absolutely fascinating life.
People have been
Yeah.
telling me for years, Glenn, you need to write a book.
You absolutely do. You
But
absolutely do. Yeah.
but this, I like doing this better.
Okay.
So
And
Stan, so we only got about 20 more of these to do, and we'll have my
yeah.
whole life. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. All right. Well, I guess I'll stop the recording, and we'll be on our way, and I'll see to my ribs, and we'll have a decent dinner tonight.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Well, I'm good with the ribs. Let me tell you,
Oh
I've
man.
made it a priority in retirement to get good at smoking stuff.
Yeah.
They can't get away from me now. I mean, every turkey's going to be smoked. Everything's going to be
Oh,
smoked.
smoked turkey's the best. Yeah.
But yeah, that's all good. Well, next we'll talk after this about what we'll do in another session. But
All right.
using the StreamYard thing worked out a whole lot better than it did the last
Yeah.
time you and I tried to do something.
Yeah. It's very nice.
And
Very nice.
and I know that as time goes on, my Starlink is going to get faster and faster.
Sure. Yeah.
They're talking about working their way up to like 300 megabits per second.
Ah,
5 years ago, I was spoiled down in Florida with like a gigabit service from Spectrum and all that. But
imagine this: where I live in the middle of in the middle of nowhere, we have the fastest broadband in the state.
Crazy. That's crazy. Because I'm very
Yeah.
rural too, even though I'm close to my little town here. But
Yeah.
the town's only 1,750.
Yeah.
So, and we're up high on a hill overlooking the town.
Yeah.
Uh,
Beautiful spot.
well, yeah, we had a fellow out here. I did a show with the guy who owns the big farm out here, where they have a lot of public stuff out at the farm.
Where they had all the
and,
Christmas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he came up to do the show with my co-host Chevy. Chevy works
Oh.
with him quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I
And,
saw that episode. Yeah.
So Nate Darnell came up here to do
Yeah.
his show, and
I watched that.
he just walked up the stairs and he looked out over there. He looks at me, he looks at this view, and he looks at me. He said, "Brother, you got the best view in town up here."
I believe it.
It's pretty good. We lucked into this, and
Yeah.
and this the fact that I could build this studio up here, high above the town and high above the ground here.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's second floor of a 2-car garage up here.
Yeah.
Got 640 square feet up here of full blown recording studio space. This
Nice.
is you're just looking at one corner of it here,
Right. Yeah.
and so put in a full bathroom with a Japanese toilet, and we got a full kitchen up here. And we got a fold out bed that's a queen size that is as comfortable as anything you'd ever want to sleep on. And
Nice.
it's been wonderful to be able to have this in my retirement.
Oh,
And
yeah.
going on like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, never guessed that this would happen. Never,
Yeah.
ever guessed in a million years that this would happen.
Yeah.
We
It's
got
really
very,
nice.
very, very lucky with an inheritance that we knew nothing about that came our way.
That's the
And
best
we
kind.
ended up waiting a long time for it, but we had the wherewithal to be able to rent this place until we could buy it. It just
Right.
used to be a Airbnb, and this room that I'm sitting in right here was a room that was bare to the studs, had never been finished.
Right.
Since this room was built in like 2005, and it was never finished ever. So it's just like, well, that worked out.
You did.
Yeah,
Perfect.
the beautiful thing, absolutely
Yeah, it
beautiful
is.
thing.
Yeah.
And I need to find some more people to come up here and work with me up here, because
Yeah,
I
man.
feel like we're wasting away a little bit. But I keep doing the podcasting thing, hoping that people will pick up on it, and we'll have an audience, a bigger audience after a while. We've
Yeah.
added 350 people in the last, since not even a year, about 9 months. We've added 350, and each episode gets a few more. So
I
yeah,
think
you know,
consistency is the key, I think.
it is. And people don't tend to subscribe so much anymore. They it's hard to
Yeah.
make commitments. These
I know,
days.
yeah.
It is what it is. I've really enjoyed this time, and
Me too, Stan.
we'll stop the recording and we'll wrap up personally a little bit. But
Okay.
thank you all for watching. Thanks for joining me and Glenn here today to find out a little bit more about his amazing life that he's had. And thanks again for watching, being part. Please don't forget to like this video on YouTube and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You can also follow the Stan Show page on Facebook. And that if you do those two things, I'll be very pleased with you. I appreciate it. We're going to have another. I'm going to have another one-on-one like this next week with Monty Godfrey. If you know who Monty Godfrey is, Monty has had a very, very different kind of life, and it's something he very much would like to talk about, get the word out about the 988 service. If you're familiar with that, 988 is like a 911 call that you can make. It's basically a emergency mental health nationwide, 988, as far as mental health, suicide prevention, all that stuff. So we're going to be talking a lot about that in another week from now. But
Mental health.
Glenn, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I know how difficult it is for you to sit in one place for any length of time, and you've been a real trooper, and I really appreciate that. You got anything else to add at all?
I just want to thank you, man. It's been great talking with you, and you're a very important figure in my life, and set me on a good path, and I appreciate it. And I'm glad we reconnected. And
me too. It's been great. And because you watch my podcast, you're one of the 3 people who does. You know that I use this podcast as a vehicle to invite people to give their life to Jesus Christ, and to turn their life over to something bigger than themselves, and share the plan of salvation with people. And I know that you're a Christian, and I know that your faith is strong. And I appreciate that very much about you as well. I know you've diverged. You've gone into a lot of different things. So there's no problem with that whatsoever. Anything that expands the mind is,
right.
I'm welcome. I welcome it. So I appreciate that about you also very much. So you tell your lady there I said hello.
I will, yeah.
That's
Ann.
Ann, right?
Yeah.
Ann.
Yeah.
She's
Queen
absolutely. She's absolutely delightful.
She is.
And
She's the best.
I'm gonna invade your space because I know you're not coming here. I know how hard it is for you. I know how hard it is for you to drive any distance.
It's painful,
until they invent some kind of super reclining chair for traveling, maybe levitating and flying here. Then I know that's not going to happen. So I appreciate
you're
that.
here. You're welcome here anytime.
Well, I'm hoping to get out there this summer.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And when the weather's good and we can do some stargazing.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Be absolutely awesome. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up, and I'll say thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.